We're no longer a community with like a heart, like a living, breathing community. But we're rather like a network of individuals. We all have our families and things like that.
No, I'm not worried at all. I rely on God, Allah.
I'm a big proponent of like, okay, we need to have a certain level of people push themselves, be resilient, because that's what we need, of our leaders in our community. So how can we develop some grit in our youth, in our leaders, inshallah?
So I think like in terms of that grit and resiliency, I think, one thing that you mentioned in terms of the activities and the dawah that you do, and if we even think about when we're talking about right now about like hijab, like, or sisters, role models, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I feel like everything I read about, like even like if you take it from history, if you take from different communities, Muslim and non-Muslim, just around the world, I think, really it comes down to working together on like the issues that really matter to us. You know what I mean? Like, I think when we're talking about resilience, we need to like explain, well, what are the things that are hurting us in the first place? Like, obviously, as Muslims, we can set out certain ideals that we all agree with. Yeah, we want to make sure that we have that taqwa and whatever, like we have a list of things that are important. I think those things can be elaborated on much more, like in terms of like whatever our political capacity and things like that. But then when it comes to the things that are hurting us, I think we rarely have a full grasp of what it is that is hurting us, what needs to be done. I think there, to me, as I was about to say, it really comes down to the sense of community, that you're part of something. And I'll be honest with you, I think that touches also very significantly on mental health. We had spoken about this before, and that element of people coming together, feeling like they're seen, that they're actually seen, that they're actually heard as part of a community. There's a sociologist, he goes by the name of Bauman. I'm not going to drop names. I also really, I'm against people always dropping names, but, I think he especially just made a point that I just maybe can flag to listeners. He mentioned one of the things about modernity is that we went from communities to networks. That's one of the transformations. We're no longer a community with like a heart, like a living, breathing community, but we're rather like a network of individuals. We all have our families and things like that. And I think inherently there's that isolation, there's that deprivation, there's things that people might be going through that no one really recognized. And I think if we want to develop, if we have a sense of that resilience, we need to reawaken a form or a sense of community, I think, that is far more profound than just like a network of things or just like a certain number of events or things like that, to that, like things that maybe really address people's needs, at the heart of a community, something that really addresses issues of poverty, issues of education, things like that the community takes responsibility for its issues. We have the financial resources for these types of things. We have the human resources. But for many reasons, we haven't developed that sort of infrastructure. And I think that sort of infrastructure will make a big difference in that sort of resilience. You want that grit. Imagine knowing that no matter how hard I go or how hard I try, I have people to fall back on. Right now, in the back of everyone's minds, if I rock the boat too much, I'm all by myself. I'm gonna fall back. They're gonna kick me off the boat. Like I spoke out against counterterrorism in her healthcare in the hospital. A complaint was lodged against her for speaking out against the training. And a lot of non-Muslims came up to her and offered her solidarity and said, like, we're with you. Like, with you. We see what you're going through. And her Muslim colleagues told her, why did you rock the boat?
Yeah.
They're going to let her fall. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we let people fall all the time, man. I mean, we got Muslim prisoners that no one wants to touch or talk about. I mean, 15% Muslims here in the UK make 5% of the total population, but 15% of the prison population. And we don't talk about them. We don't think about them. We don't think about supporting them because, you know, in a state of insecurity, we don't want to think about, you know, what people consider are the worst of us. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about grit. I don't want to talk about middle-class Muslims. I want to talk about the Muslims who are actually going through issues. You know, how do we support them? And there, I think we're going to see a flourishing from the grass that goes up to everyone else is going to benefit from. So I think that's just one way of potentially looking at it, but obviously it's far more complicated than that.
Do I feel that the New York police are providing enough protection, or do I have to have protection of my own? I look for protection from Allah.